What would you want to achieve if you knew that you couldn't possibly fail? Changing the way that we use our mind can change our life forever, and I'm going to show you how. My name's Richard Ogden. I'm a hypnotist from West Yorkshire in the UK, and I'm going to make a series of videos on how the mind works, how you can use the mind to better your life, whether it's for anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, self-confidence, or even things like pain, whether it's physical or emotional, and also memory techniques. I'll be teaching a series of memory techniques to exercise the brain. Now, we all like to think we're in control of our own mind. To a certain extent, this is true. However, imagine you're in the cockpit of a plane and it's on autopilot, it's traveling in one direction. You can take hold of that flight stick and you can steer the plane any direction you want. You'll be able to take it there. But as soon as you let go of that flight stick, it will go back on the same course that the autopilot was taking it on. Now you can imagine the unconscious mind to be a little bit like that autopilot. You can do things consciously. You can control your reactions and responses consciously. But as soon as you stop concentrating on whatever you're doing, your unconscious mind takes you back on that automatic path. All through our lives, we're taking in information through all our senses. And we store this information in our brain to help us with shortcuts in situations. Whenever you've come across a situation that you've been through before, you have an automatic response to deal with it. A good example of an automatic response to a behavior that we've learned is simply walking. As a child, we learn how to walk. It takes us quite a long time to learn. Being able to balance, move one foot then the other. If you watch a child that's learning how to walk, they fall over quite a lot. And then there comes a point where they're able to do it and they no longer have to think about it. And now in his adult life, all we need to do is think about where we're going to go. And the walking is automatic. We don't think about balancing. We don't think about putting one foot in front of the other. It just happens unconsciously. And these kind of processes develop for everything that we do. You can take control of your breathing consciously. But as soon as you forget that you're doing it, it goes back to being an automatic response. So the unconscious mind takes over this control. And there's no way it's going to let you stop breathing. It's there to protect you. Initially, it does things to help you. But when it's done this in childhood and you grow up, some of the responses it has are no longer beneficial. Now, you can look at the mind as a conscious and unconscious process, just using this as a model. Obviously, you've only got one mind. But your conscious processes are logical. You know that you stood on the ground. You know that you're not married to a broom. Your unconscious process, the unconscious mind, can't distinguish between fiction and reality, and is the emotional side of the brain. Now, if there's any conflict between the emotional and the logical side of the brain, the emotional side always wins. It's a faster responder, and it's in there fast, and it's confident, and it's there trying to protect you. Just to give you an example of how fast it responds, but not always correct. I'm going to give you a little maths equation. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer it. You'll be able to answer it in this time. It's not difficult. Now, if I bought a bat and a ball for £1.10, and the bat was £1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your answer is, did you answer 10 pence? This is a pretty logical, fast response from the emotional unconscious mind. Although, if you had more time and you'd been able to work it out properly, the logical mind would have been able to work out that the ball is 5 pence and the bat is £1.05, which is £1 more than the ball. And because we know the emotional side of the brain responds quickly, most of our actions are unconscious. If we only stood back and give it time, we'd be able to respond more logically. giving us sometimes a better response. I mean, obviously the unconscious mind can respond very quickly, very confidently, and in some situations is excellent to get you out of danger. It's the part you need to rely on. It's also good at predicting things. If someone throws you a ball, you don't think about the trajectory and where it's going to land. Your unconscious mind takes you there and you just catch the ball. You know where it's going. Now, this is where it works well. Where it doesn't work so well is when it forms a habit or a behavior that you don't want. And it creates this behavior and just keeps playing it over and over and over in the same situations. You feel like you don't have conscious control over it, but all you'd have to do is reprogram it. But now you know that if you just took time to think about things, can you imagine how much money you would have saved yourself thinking about purchases instead of being pressured into a sale by a salesman, wanting you to respond quickly to an offer? Think about all the arguments you could have avoided if you'd have just taken a few minutes to think about what had been said instead of acting emotionally and spouting a load of verbal abuse at someone, usually not meaning what you're saying. Our minds are very powerful and we don't use them to the full potential. The way that technology is developed, we don't need to use them as much. However, this is detrimental to our mental health. Our minds are not getting the exercise they need. A lot of awareness has been brought to the issues of mental health. And most of the focus is on talking about thoughts and feelings, a healthy diet and exercise. But what about mental exercise? I'm going to be making some videos that show you some memory techniques to remember things like phone numbers, names, even addresses of people. Could be multiplication tables for the kids, even speeches, or if you want to learn languages, how to remember the words. And also, if you wanted to know capital cities, maybe you've got an exam coming up, I'll be teaching you techniques on how to remember things like this. And this will give you enough mental exercise. And the side effect of this is, you'll be able to remember more things, retain more information, and ultimately give yourself more confidence. So if you've thought about what it is that you'd want to do if you knew that you couldn't fail, how about letting me know in the comments below, and we'll see what we can do about making some videos to help you. So until my next video, have a great day and keep being awesome.